Hello and welcome to my brand new mini-series where I rant about nothing very particularly interesting. Anyway, today I'm going to be ranting about why I do not like adult cartoon shows from America. Okay, that might be a bit of an exaggeration, as I do like some American adult cartoon shows, especially this one that I absolutely love, and that would be The Max, based on the comic book of the same name. What made this cartoon show really stand out was the fact that it could be both serious and comical at the same time, and it covered a vast array of subject matters you don't see in many TV shows nowadays. Unfortunately, we will never see another cartoon show like this from America, mainly due to the fact that the American adult cartoon market there is more interested in producing comedies. Now, there's nothing wrong with comedies, it's just that sometimes the American adult cartoons just don't seem really all that interested in sometimes producing original works, but more recycling very old and overused materials. And I will cover some of them in a list. You know, on second hands, I won't do a list since we'll be here all day, so I will try instead to condense it as much as I can. The basic problem I have with a lot of American adult cartoon shows is that they tend to go for the extreme. There's nothing wrong with this. For example, South Park does this very well. It uses its extreme elements as a way of highlighting the absurdity of our world. While on the other hand, you have a show like Drawn Together, where it uses its extreme elements because it can. And I find this rather strange, as I like to play Cards Against Humanity, yet I do not find this show one bit interesting. I find American adult cartoon shows, like any other medium, have the same problem. Basically, when something is very popular, other people try to emulate it without really understanding why it worked. And this rather unfortunately leads into lower quality. I find the most of these extreme elements tend to lean towards really heavily use on toilet humor and extreme violence. When I was younger, I found this sort of stuff quite interesting, but as I have grown up and become a little bit more mature, I find these sort of elements do not really hold my attention as much as they used to, and I find many of these things quite off-putting. So basically, one of the things that I mentioned and I probably forgot to say was this whole thing about comedy. See, the one thing I've noticed in a lot of these American adult cartoon shows is that there seems to be a popular trend of the family sitcom. Family sitcom is quite a popular thing in America. However, it had its limitation with its budget and its use of repeatable sets. So when The Simpsons came along, it really showed what you could do with the family sitcom, showing new set designs that you could use and new ways of developing characters. So with this popularity, it eventually led to other sort of comedy genres basically being experimented, and this is where we get to the problem. See, the American adult cartoon shows tend to rely very heavily on comedy, and this can be rather limiting. Now, you can do a lot with comedy, but there's always that first and biggest demand is to make your audience laugh, while the other things can sometimes be left on the wayward side. And this is when we awkwardly stumble towards why I like anime. See, I really love anime because it's not limited to just one genre. It is actually allowed itself to explore multiple genres, which means it's allowed to basically spread over so many unique and interesting stories that we don't see very often in cartoons or even in live action shows sometimes. And I really enjoy it because of that. I'm not going to say that anime is perfect, it definitely has its faults, like any other medium, but I'm willing to take these faults over the American adult cartoon show. Now, American adult cartoon shows used to make some pretty good serious shows, like the aforementioned Mac, Influx, and Spawn, but however these sort of shows didn't really take off, mainly because these shows were limited to a specific network, while the other adult shows were shown on multiple networks, and when Adult Swim popped up, a channel completely devoted to basically adult American cartoon shows, it probably didn't really help that much, and these sort of shows unfortunately vanished from people's mind. There are still many adult American sort of serious cartoon shows being made, but that's mostly limited to movies and YouTube. Now, I'm not gonna say that basically all American adult shows are terrible. There are some really good ones out there. It's just that I think there's way more better anime than there is American adult cartoon shows. I'm still hoping one day that the American adult cartoon show market will one day make a serious adult cartoon show again. But I'm not really sure if that's gonna ever happen. And that's all I have to say. See you then.